All right, so in this video we are going to be talking about how to draw and name ethers. Okay, so here we're going to be talking about the structure of our ethers, namely how to name them. All right, so we're going to start with the IUPAC system first. So what we are going to be doing is looking for our longest R group. That is going to be the parent hydrocarbon, and our suffix here is going to be the suffix associated with that parent carbon, or that parent hydrocarbon. There are no suffixes associated specifically with ethers. When we're determining our locant, it is going to be the carbon number that the oxygen is bonded to, and I'll show you what I mean by that in an example. We are going to be treating our smaller R group as a substituent, and so we are going to use the parent stem of that smaller R group followed by the suffix oxy. Okay, so let's take our first example here. So our first example here, we have find our longest chain. Whoops, I meant to do that as a highlighter. Okay, so we find our longest chain, and it is a 2-carbon chain. And so this is where we get our ethane. Okay, our smaller chain, smaller R group, oops, again, me and the highlighters and the pens. Okay, our smaller chain is this methyl group. And so we are going to change the ending here from methane, to methoxy. And so this is where we get our methoxyethane. Now, for this one, with ethane, I don't have to include the number, the locant, because it is understood that it can only be on carbon number 1. But in our next example, that is not necessarily the case. So with propane, we have to identify, are we on carbon number 1 or are we on carbon number 2? So if I look at our next compound here, and I'm identifying the longest chain, it would be this guy right here. So that's going to give me my propane. And then I'm looking for my small R group, and my small R group, yet again, our small R group is going to be our meth. And so again, we're going to change that to change the ending to oxy. So it's a methoxy. But now I have to tell everyone what carbon this is on. And so if I look at my propane chain, I have 1, 2, 3 carbons there. That methoxy is actually on carbon number 2 of the propane chain. So this gives me the name 2-methoxypropane. So that is IUPAC naming. Now if I look at common naming, I'm going to give the alkyl name for each R group. So here, for this first example that I have here, that is a mistake. Okay, well this is a mistake, so I'm just, rather than reshooting this video, I'm just going to change this. Whoops. Okay, so for this particular compound, right, and we're going to ignore what was written here, I have my ethane, and I have a methane. And so this is going to be an ethyl methyl ether. In the neighboring one here, again, I'm going to give the 2 alkyl names for each R group. So again, I've got my propane here. This is an isopropyl. It's at that 2nd carbon. And then I also have my methyl group here. And so that is going to give me isopropyl methyl ether. Okay, so I wanted to give you one more example before we move on. And so for this particular one, we are going to be using our IUPAC naming system. And the first thing I want to do is identify my longest R group. So I have two R groups here. I have this guy right here, which has 4 carbons. And I also have this guy right up here, which has 1. So obviously my longest chain is going to be my 4 carbon. It is an alkane, and so therefore it is going to be a butane. Okay, so my smallest R group is the methyl, the 1 carbon, and so I'm going to change that ending to a methoxy. Then I need to identify what carbon that is on. It needs the smallest locant. So remember that you can count both ways, from left to right and right to left. And so my smallest locant is going to be a 2. And so this is going to give me 2 methoxybutane. All right.